Hey, Stan. Oh, I'm going to send you this V letter because that's how I've been communicating lately. It's easier than phone calls because they're a pain because I keep forgetting what I'm going to say when I'm talking on the phone. So I'm going to give you a few ideas of what I'm thinking, and then you can call me back or get back to me, whatever, and we can discuss it. Now, it's disturbing that when I find a bodhisattva of the earth who wants to practice, it's being stymied. So I'm going to tell you, this is a really good book, by the way. This is really one of the best things I've ever had because it tells you everything kind of really quickly in a nutshell. In the Kanji 13th chapter of the Lotus Sutra, we read about the numerous bodhisattvas of the theoretical teaching who swore to propagate Buddhism during the era after the death of Shakyamuni. The age would be filled with strife and conflict, and suffering would befall them. They nonetheless volunteered to spread Buddhism and vowed to stand up to any kind of hardship. The three powerful enemies were said to be the most difficult of the trials lying in wait for them. Having made this vow, these bodhisattvas were stunned when Shakyamuni rejected their offer and instead called on the bodhisattvas of the earth, entrusting them alone with the mission of propagating the mystic law in the future evil age. No bodhisattva of the earth can spread true Buddhism without meeting the three powerful enemies. Nichiren personally experienced all of the persecutions indicated in the Kanji chapter and fulfilled his mission, never once yielding to any of them. In this sense, too, he lived the Lotus Sutra exactly as it teaches. In meeting the three powerful enemies, he was able to confirm that he himself was the leader of the bodhisattvas of the earth. The three powerful enemies are: 1. Lay people ignorant of Buddhism, who denounce the votaries of the Lotus Sutra and attack them with swords and staves. 2. Arrogant and cunning priests who, although still having much to learn about Buddhism, boast that they have attained the highest truth and who slander the votaries. And 3. Priests revered as saints and respected by the general public who, in fear of losing fame or profit, induced the secular authorities to persecute the votaries of the Lotus Sutra. In practical terms, the first enemy refers to ordinary people who have little knowledge of Buddhism, and the second to learned priests who are believed to be well versed in Buddhism. Now here's where it gets interesting. The third enemy indicates those who, having authority in the religious world, as well as a fair knowledge of Buddhism, join with those of authority in society at large and instigate them to oppress believers. How can one overcome these enemies? With regard to opposition by ordinary people, if one who spreads true Buddhism can attain or has social standing and credibility, he will be able to stand up to their opposition and will encourage them to receive the benefits of the faith in true Buddhism. By dealing with the second enemy through intelligence and wisdom, the followers of true Buddhism will also be able to be victorious. In contrast to these, and here is the kicker, the third is much more difficult to challenge unless those who embrace true Buddhism have a profound understanding of the doctrine of Buddhist philosophy and the power to convince others, as well as the respect of society at large. They cannot overcome the third enemy and achieve Kosen Rufu. So, now, when I read those guidelines, which basically stymies me from shakabukuing anyone, I realized we're in trouble. Because you can't get the Gohonzon unless you go to 2 live meetings, and you can't go to live meetings unless you've been vaccinated and have it somehow embedded in your digital ID, which was exactly what I had been talking about in my diatribes. So you can say you know, let's try to save the organization, but I don't know. For one thing, I was talking to my friend and I said, you kind of put me in not a bad place, but you kind of put me in a place where I have to do exactly what President Ikeda was talking about. Now everything's coming true. I kind of dismissed not most, I didn't dismiss it. I just, standalone spirit and all this stuff, platitudes to me. But no. And I said, I may have to start a new sect. I mean, a new lave movement. There may be a schism. This may be a turning point in history. And he's looking at me kind of, incredulously a bit, but then maybe he's understanding because he's a bodhisattva. And I'm trying to figure out a way I can get him a gohonzon. And it's kind of like the organization is stopping me and stopping him. So the third powerful enemy has arrived, and it is us. As Pogo said, we have met the enemy, and it is us. And then he said, well, I don't like bureaucracies, and I don't like organizations anyway. And I said, no, you kind of need to be with people. Because all the crap I've been, spewing on this thing made me realize, because I had to do more studying to kind of put some of this stuff down. And some of it was the three, realms of existence. And there's yourself, there's society, and environment. And society is important. I found that out. I mean, you need the organization. Well, I won't say the organization. You need to be with people and study together and chant together and, have meetings together and sing a song or whatever. But you and me, might have to start a new sect, because otherwise, how can we have social gatherings? We have to be the outcasts, the outliers, and the ostracized. And I'm happy about it, because it's given me a chance to actually be like, Nichiren, and to a certain extent, President Ikeda. He built it, and it's decaying. And I don't know what karma caused that. I think I do. It has something to do with when President Ikeda came to America in '92 and changed the whole complexion of the organization. And it happened with the priesthood breaking away, because I kind of admired the priesthood because I didn't know anything when I first joined, and I thought it's pretty cool that they've handed down the doctrines, perfectly since Nichiren, so there's no misunderstandings. And then I find out, they're not good. So how can we have a sect? We have no priests. That's why the third powerful enemy. I mean, basically, SGI is the organization that's spreading true Buddhism. Otherwise, I've been duped. And if they've gone bad, then who's going to do it? Who exactly is going to do it? Stand alone, and then, that's a big project. I'm thinking Martin Luther, and I'm thinking, no, it doesn't have to be a big, huge, multi-international breakaway. It's just people who have been ostracized get together and start from scratch. Otherwise, it'll be lost. And maybe somebody will come along and find Nichiren's writings and interpret them correctly and start a whole new thing, 200 or 300 years from now when they clear the rubble. Or it's gone. Other sects of Buddhism will prevail, and the world will become an asteroid belt. So that's my idea. We got a lot of work to do still. We got to get people together who are ostracized, and it's going to be a big mission, and I think it's kind of exciting. So that's it. Takes about an hour to get this on YouTube. So I'm going to do that now and send it to you. So hopefully you see it today and call me. I'll be leaving for work a little after 3. All right. I have more to say, but that's the gist of it. Max is chanting every day, and he will chant to the end of his life, and he doesn't really think about the organization that much. And Benjamin's into the meetings, but Zoom is malfunctioning. So the devils and obstacles are all over the place, and not to mention the overall disaster of the world, which is horrible. The pandemics won't go away, so we can't wait for this to blow over. So give me a call when you get this. Thanks. Yep.